Well, it's been a quiet week here in Lake Scabagon, my hometown. This episode is the second half of their 6-hour Zoom call. They talk about coffee, hobbies, people with similar names, discovering music in a pre-internet world, listen to a voicemail, kangaroos, and try to avoid ending the call.
I want to say one more thing about alcohol.
Yeah.
So my other guilty pleasure is I really love coffee. And
Yes. Oh, Brock's gonna be so mad.
my problem is I drink too much caffeine and not enough water. So then if I have alcohol on top of it, I'm like super dehydrated and I'm getting headaches. So I'm like trying to figure out how to incorporate more water back into my life.
So I want to push back against the caffeine negative people. All this talk about too much caffeine, like it's really hard to do that, right? Like
Yeah.
your threshold's way higher than people give us credit for. I think people are wrong. There's the Mountain Dew. You've got it.
It's
Yep.
just the
Proving it
lack of
wrong.
water. It's the lack of
There's water in caffeine. Like everyone says, like alcohol dehydrates you. Like coffee dehydrates you. Alcohol does, but like soda, coffee, there's water in there. Like it is
It might
not
be
quite the
because like
dichotomy that people present it to be. I just don't.
it might
It's
be
not
because I
true.
started being healthier. Like my body is just like more sensitive. But like I definitely started getting headaches because I was like, yeah, I'll have an afternoon coffee after I've had like 5 cups this in the morning and haven't had any water. And then like at night I might have one glass of water, maybe a
Yeah.
couple, and then it's not enough.
I'm just pro more caffeine and not restricting it. I hate when people talk about
I'm
dialing
not.
back
I'm
the
not saying. I'm not saying I'm cutting the caffeine, but
Okay,
if I have
good,
to
good,
choose
good.
between caffeine and alcohol, I might choose the caffeine.
Oh,
I,
what a
I'm not
soapbox to
giving
get
up
on.
coffee. So like,
I'm
just
sorry. I
What a
love coffee. I might be a coffee addict.
what a soapbox to get on here, Jared. I mean,
Oh,
gee.
I'm very passionate about this. Like,
Right.
you read these articles, and
Are
they're
you? I
what is-
couldn't tell.
Yeah. So I I once did the math because I read something that like healthy caffeine intake. I don't know what it is. It's some very low number. Um, and then so I used to on campus we have a Starbucks. And I would go there every morning. So I would make a cup of coffee at home, pour over.
Mhm.
Like I have a hand grinder and like
You
very
pour over?
nerdy about it.
No,
Oh yeah, yeah. So make the pour over cup at home. I'd go to work. I really like drip coffee, but I like all versions of coffee. So I like to make my weekly or my daily walk to Starbucks, say hello to the people that work there. I like the exchange where they know what I want and I don't order. They just like ring it up and I pay and they give it to me and we don't talk about it. We talk about other things. I like that experience. You know, the people who like variety in their life, I don't. I like consistency. I like to walk in. People don't ask me questions. They just give me what I want because I know I'm going to order the same thing every time. So that's my experience at Starbucks on coffee or on campus. I walk in, large blonde roast because that's the only good coffee you can get from Starbucks because all their beans are over roasted. So like the blonde roast is really like a medium roast at best. Anything more is just like charcoal. It's not good, but the blonde roast is not bad. And so I get a large. There's like
I like a
four.
dark roast.
See, I'm not a like burnt charcoal smoky
I
guy.
used I used to be, and now after I started doing pour over, I can't drink dark roast too much anymore.
I like light to medium. And the lighter the roast, the more the caffeine, right?
Hey
The
guys.
darker the roast, the less the caffeine in the bean,
Hey,
the final product.
ask me how I like my coffee.
How do you like your coffee, Pete?
Pete, how do you like your coffee?
In my cup?
In your cup, I don't like coffee. Yeah.
So the
Have
but
you
like
tried
a
the Death Wish coffee?
you should.
Oh, me no.
They've got a new light roast.
I've had 2 cups of coffee in my life, so
That's amazing. But but like an espresso shot is like 75 milligrams or whatever of caffeine. It's really not that much. Like espresso is less than drip coffee. And most people don't know that.
I didn't mean to derail the conversation about coffee. Continue.
No, you're good.
My wife doesn't have a lot of hobbies, and she was getting into lattes like during COVID. And I was like, well, I get myself lots of toys like guitars and motorcycle things and whatever. So I was like, I'll buy you an espresso machine that you want, and then I get to enjoy it too.
It's a good husband.
So
He did. I can confirm.
So I have a semi-automatic espresso machine in my office. So I've got like some manual setups at home. So I would do my home coffee, go to Starbucks, get my large venti or whatever blonde roast, which is like 425 milligrams of caffeine, which is more than the daily limit according to experts. Um, exactly, I don't buy into that. So, and then I'm gonna have afternoon espresso in my office, and then in between, I'm gonna drink Diet Dr. Pepper or Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar because that's what I like. So there's more caffeine happening, and like I did the math one day because I saw some recommendation people were talking about caffeine intake, and I was like, huh, I wonder how much I consume a day. And it was like somewhere between 11 to 1300 milligrams of caffeine. And I was like, oh, that's like way more than they say is safe. But I've been doing this for well over a decade, and I sleep like a baby every night. So I think they're wrong. Just don't agree with them. I think it's off. I think
I think
the
they're
caffeine fears are unfounded.
I think they're
Fake
full
news.
of pickles. They're full of pickles.
Full of pickles. Full of pickles. Drink all the caffeine, people. Do it. Don't let people hold you back. And I drink straight black coffee, so it's healthy. Every time someone's like, that's bad for you, it's like, no, it's not. It's great for me. There's no sugar. There's no cream. There's no pumpkin spice. There's no just coffee. It's good for you. It's great.
I apologize for derailing the Brock bashing, but I wanted to talk about coffee for a minute.
You made me drop my microphone. It was great.
And now we bash Brock. No one bashes Brock. He's a celebrity.
He's Brock did us as a saint.
So Josh, do you have a motorcycle? You mentioned
I
Yeah.
do.
Is it
I
a
do.
Triumph?
I have a Harley.
Oh, okay.
I bought it before I had kids.
Motorcycles to me, like I'd love to have a motorcycle, kind of like what they were talking about on the show, where like, kind of the almost like the art of like how like the motorcycle looks itself. Like I love the way that Triumphs look. Um,
For me to poop on.
right. But
Oh,
me
not
like
wrong
knowing
Triumph, sorry.
knowing how I am, like I wouldn't be able to fix my own bike because I'm terrible
Mhm.
at like any sort of, like stuff like that. Um, that kind of makes it where it's like I don't know if I would ever get a motorcycle because, you hear a lot of like, oh yeah, like I'm fixing my own bike and all that jazz. And like I know I would have the bike, and as soon as anything went wrong with it, I'd be like, I don't know what's going on. It's just
You
gonna
just have to
sit there
make
now.
you just make friends with other people. That's one cool thing about like motorcycles is like I feel like there's a good community if you want to like I don't connect with other people, but you can if you want to.
Yeah.
It's like that Mitch Hedberg joke of I reached for my toolbox, aka my wallet, to fix my car.
Yes.
That's how I feel too. I can't fix anything on my car. I way back when in college, a buddy of mine, he was from Miami. We were going from the Florida Panhandle to Miami, and his truck is like shaking on the interstate, like really bad. And so we pull over, and he pops the hood, and we both look at it. And after like a minute and a half, we just look at each other and like, do you know what you're looking for? He's like, no. I was like, me either. What are we doing here? Like, we just know you're supposed to pull over and pop the hood, but we don't know what's
Yep.
after that. That's all this as far as we've got. So we were like, my buddy's just like, well, let's just get back in and we're gonna drive it till it blows up. I was like, that was my plan too. So I'm glad we're on the same page. And like 2 miles later, the tire exploded on the interstate. And we made
Yep.
it safely to the other side. But both of us, I still have pictures, like printed out pictures, because that was a long time ago. I had a digital camera of us just like on the side of the road with it, with his truck. Because then he had put rims on his truck. And so the lug wrench that was in the truck that came with it didn't
Oh,
fit
no.
the lug nuts on the rims he had bought. So we also could not do it. We had it jacked up. And we couldn't take the tire off. So we're on the side of the interstate, just sitting there. And this was like, we didn't have he had a cell phone. I did not yet. So he'd call his mom or whatever, who was calling a tow truck. And eventually a state trooper pulls over. And is like, what's going on? And we're like, we can't take the tire off the truck that's exploded. And the guy's like, well, want to see if mine fits? And he reached in the Crown Vic, and sure enough, that thing fit his lug nuts, and we were able to change the tire. But the best part was just looking at the engine and being like, do you know what you're looking for?
Yep.
Nope.
Looks
Yep.
broken.
Yep, can't figure anything. There's an engine.
Well, at least you knew that
It's a-
much.
Yep,
It's
that's
a
as far
problem
as
with
we
the
got.
steering. Let's look at the engine. Yeah.
It is the problem with hobbies is like maintaining them. It's
Oh,
like,
Yes.
well, I was trying to get my audio figured out earlier. I was like, I'll get out one of my guitars. I'm like, I haven't restrung this thing in like 4 or 5 years because I have other guitars that I play. And it's like, the more things you get into, the more things that just like are wasting away because you don't have time to actually take care of them.
right.
I've thought
Yeah.
about selling my bike, but I'm like, it's paid for. It'd probably be stupid to get rid of it.
I think there's different types of people who get into hobbies. Those that like get all the way in,
Yep.
and those who dabble. Because, like I didn't drink coffee until I was in my late 20s at all. Like no interest. And then I decided I was going to drink coffee. And I started drinking it. And I immediately bought like a hand grinder and a coffee subscription and a pour over setup. And Tammy was like, why can't you just buy a coffee pot and Folgers like normal people? Like, why did you have to do all of this? And I was like, nope. If I'm going to drink coffee, I'm drinking the best coffee and nothing else will do, kind of thing. And it was
But-
like, yeah.
But I've heard the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
No.
It's possible that they will lie to you in an advertisement.
What?
No,
I don't know if you knew
advertisers. Nope. Carmen's still alive.
Sometimes they don't tell the truth fully. But that, yeah, it was like, I'm not gonna just drink Folgers. I don't like Folgers,
Right,
but I like
right.
this version of coffee, and so I'm gonna go all the way in, and I'm gonna get the nerdy, like, and but I don't think everybody doesn't have that inclination of like, if I'm gonna dabble, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna dive down a wormhole of internet forums discussing all the nuances, and then I'm gonna like start a journey from there, not just buy a coffee pot and some Folgers for caffeine hookup.
The problem is when you have like the gene to go all in on things and then you have a lot of varied interests. Because you're like, as you can see behind me, I have a wall of board games. I like to play board games. I don't have
Mhm.
time to do that. I don't have time to go on motorcycle rides like and play guitar. I'm in this weird place in life now that I have my, my oldest kid is 5 years old, so it's still newish to me, I guess. Like, and making the transition of where now I have to actually be more involved. Where like when they're little, I could do more of my interest and like
Mhm.
be more social. But you can't go all in on a lot of things when you have less and less time. So
And
if you
money.
are someone and
They
money,
continue to cost more money,
Yep.
those children.
Yep.
yeah,
But I mean, the cool thing is once they get a little bit older, then you can start playing those games, like the board
Yeah.
games,
Yeah.
with them.
that was my thought and how I justified it to my wife.
Yep.
It worked.
That's
Yeah.
the key to longevity in marriage is like, how do I negotiate this with my partner? Because I'm going to do it. This is frivolous, but I need them on board.
Yeah.
You don't need more guitars, but eventually they'll want my other ones. So
Yeah, they're gonna want to play too. We're gonna start a
That's right.
band. We're gonna get a bus. We're gonna paint it multicolors. We're gonna change our last name to Partridge. Hello world, there's a song that we're singing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Now it's profitable. Look at that. I knew it all along. It was a
pays
good
for
investment.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's where, like, if we want to bring it back to alcohol, I really like craft beer and went too deep there. And then I started to like whiskeys and bourbons, and
Mm.
I just like stopped myself at scotch. I'm like, I like it, but I'm not gonna like, I don't want to know anything about it because then
Nope.
I'm gonna want to have it, and it's more expensive than bourbon.
Yep.
And then
Mm.
same thing with wine of like, I'm just gonna not be a wine guy, period. I don't want to learn anything about it. I don't want to acquire a taste for it because then I'm gonna want to collect it. And so knowing myself, I'm just gonna put some artificial barriers of like, okay, these are my hobbies I'm gonna stick with, and I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
outside of this fence I put up around myself. Because if I dabble that way, I mean, it was stupid stuff. Like I decided to switch from, just like a regular razor, disposable thing. I'm going to do the safety razor, the single blade. This was before I had the full beard. And that leads you to a online discussion forum called the Badger Den. And then people talk about their shave dens. That's what they call them. And
Yep.
it's a shave den when you collect your brushes and your razors and your handles and your aftershaves and your shaving creams. And it's like all of a sudden you're like, I'm reading online in Badger Den and contemplating my own shave den, and this has gone too far. So I do have a single safety razor and blades that I like, and then I just quit reading online forums because they're going to make you want more things.
Yeah, I have to give that up because I'm like, oh, I want that, and I'm like, no, I gotta stop reading forums.
Yeah, I do that too. For me, it's I like whiskey, but I like Lego, but I like music, but I like vinyl. So it's like
Yeah,
it's I thankfully have curbed the Lego purchases, but like the vinyl's still there, the music's still there, the whiskey's still there. So it's like, you and especially for me, it's like I want to make this basement a place that when my nephews and nieces come to visit, or my nephew and nieces come to visit, I want them to be able to play with all the Lego, like that was my
Mhm.
initial thing. And then I just took off from there, and I told myself I need to stop because I have enough for them to play.
Pete, I just want to thank you for saying Lego
Yep,
and not
yep,
Legos.
yep. Nope. I know this stuff. I know this stuff. Come on now.
Yep.
I don't have Lego Hutch on Instagram for a reason. But
Did we
oh,
just
there we
learn
go.
something new about you?
Yep, Lego Hutch. I haven't done anything with it in a while, but for a while that was going to be my social media side. But then then the pickle and boot uh, diabolical discussion, and you guys came along, and I stopped with my Lego blogging aspirations, which wouldn't have been that great. Yeah.
Is there a large community for Lego blogging? I feel like there
Oh,
probably is.
there's
Oh
a
my word, yes.
there's an underbelly. Like
Yeah.
There's a community for everything. That's the
Yep.
problem. If
Yeah.
you're community prone to the
There's-
internet, you're susceptible.
And there's a community that I found for whiskey drinker and Lego people, like the
Oh.
conglomeration.
Oh
And a
And
man,
I'm
diagram.
like, nope, not going there. I'm not going there because, I'll
Next
be
thing
there
you know,
forever.
you're making a Lego whiskey drinking cup.
Who
that
says I
holds
already have it?
liquid. Yeah.
And
You're gonna have the Lego bricks that are that seal tight so the liquid doesn't drip.
but believe me, I've tried it. It doesn't work.
You got to put it in like the bucket of the backhoe or something, and you tip it up. Man,
Yeah, well,
I assume there's a Lego backhoe out there.
there has to be, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah.
It seems, or a boat or something you could
Or a
drink out
boat.
of.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. No, but I understand like that whole like I have that gene too, where it's just like you have your hobbies and you're all in, and you realize
Yeah.
you don't have the time for the all in because I want to, but I don't.
And that's how you
Yeah,
find
and for
yourself.
for me when I was younger, it was that would be mostly on like the music end of things,
Mhm.
where it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I just discovered this new band. Hold on, let me go acquire all of their catalog.
Right.
Or, like I was talking in an earlier episode, uh, I'm out on tour and oh, there's a new Reeve Oliver split EP that's only available with this surfing magazine. How can I find this? And it's like this obsession where it's like I have to have this because I like this band and this is, the current band that is my favorite band. I must find this,
Right.
I was gonna say I feel like we wouldn't have gone and found each other at Furnace Fest if we weren't people that didn't go all in.
Yeah.
You're right.
And now we've got this damn podcast and we're all in.
That's what I was gonna say. If you're that kind of person, you find yourself on a podcast when people ask you what's your podcast you're about, and you have to give them the backstory on the other podcast. You listen to
Right?
that gives the context for the podcast you created, which is levels of nerdery. Is that a word?
I
that
just
most
did that.
regular
Yeah.
folks don't experience.
I just did that with my cousin. I was like, so yeah, I'm recording this podcast tonight. She's like, what's that podcast about? And so I had to go into, well, it's about
I
this.
don't know. What would you like it to be about tonight? Because
Yeah,
we're
The
recording.
worst question ever, right?
Well, and that's what I said. I said, it started off as this, companion podcast to these old Christian ska singers that did a podcast, and we decided to talk about their podcast. And instead, we hardly talk about their podcast, and we just start talking and shooting, stuff back at each other. And sometimes we go off into songs, and sometimes we just have funny quips if my internet's working. And and it just it. And she was like, "Oh, link me. I'd like to listen to that." So, we'll see what happens.
Going to the podcast. One thing I found really funny today listening was Reese wanting a woman to fold laundry for him.
He'll perform favors if you just fold my laundry.
How happy was I when Joe brought up Daniel and Danielle Rock?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Because
Yes.
I too was unaware, and I sent you guys
Same.
a text message about the exact same thing of,
I
oh my
texted
gosh,
Pete.
this is happening. This is a real thing. I'm
Yep.
amazed.
And I've known him, and yeah. Yep, that's true. Oh, sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, so somewhat related to that. So my brother Kyle, trust me, this will tie in. So my brother
He's married to
Kyle,
Kylie.
no, he is married to another Kyle.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's a very uncommon woman's name or man's name.
right. So whenever it was that they started dating, it was because of a blind date that I believe it was my cousin Mark set them up on because he thought it would be funny to have Kyle and Kyle dating.
Of course.
So he set them up on like a blind date or whatever. And here we are now. The two of them are married. They've got a kid.
Kyle.
Wow.
Kyle and Kyle. No.
Damn it. Why not?
Missed opportunities.
At
Come
this
on.
point, lean in. Lean in.
Right. So yeah, we gave them kind of a hard time about it. We're like, yeah, so you're going to name the kid Kyle, right?
Please
But no.
stop doing that.
No,
You
no,
gotta
their
keep the hard
kid,
times going.
yeah. So no, their kid does have a family name as well,
Hmm.
but no, it is not Kyle.
Oh my gosh.
Does one or the other go by a nickname in the relationship?
So at least when we're talking about them, it's Mr. and Mrs. Kyle. So
I think you should start saying he Kyle and she Kyle.
right.
That
So
would be
it was
funny,
also
yeah. like
like boy Kyle and girl Kyle for a while, but
Yeah.
usually
Mhm.
it's, like if I'm talking to him, I was like, oh, how's Mrs. Kyle doing or whatever.
It really switches up the better half comment. Like, oh, this is my better half. Like Kyle.
Right.
Could be talking about
But
himself.
Yeah.
they have run into some issues with the town that we live in now
I'm
with
sure.
voting because she went to vote.
Are they spelled
And-
the same or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
spelled the same. Different middle initials.
Okay.
Sure.
But she went to vote and they were like, no, you're already like there was some like weirdness with like the town clerk just could not wrap his head around
That there could be two
and
of
was like,
two Kyles.
right.
It is pretty
Amazing.
mind blowing.
I once knew years ago an Ashley married to an Ashley.
Yeah. Yep, I've heard of that.
But Daniel, I propose he just starts going by D-Rock.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
That's built in right there. D
Right,
hyphen
right.
rock.
I've
Just
called him
D-Rock.
D-Rock for most of his life. So it's
Yeah,
like
that's just a total DJ name on the radio. That's
And
a
honestly,
personality right there.
I don't call him Daniel. I'm like, hey, Dan Rock, like that.
Mhm.
But that's
Ag-
just
ag-
just me.
Let her have Danielle, and he could be D-Rock.
Does she go by Danielle? I'm assuming.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, that's a question we can ask him next week. I mean,
Or we can
Yeah.
just start calling her Yell.
Yell,
Yell Rock.
yell,
Not L. Yell.
no, yell, I'm
Yell.
yelling.
Why do you guys yell at me all the time?
Yeah. Oh God, renew.
Oh, we should talk about that. Every time that song comes on, I
It's-
immediately after the episode go and listen to that part like
It is
4
a
times in a row. Because
freaking
Mark Solomon's verse is nothing but a banger. It
Oh.
is so. I listened to it yesterday after the podcast with my daughter on the way home from tumbling. I was just like, I got to get to Mark Solomon's verse because that part is so good.
Mm.
I go ahead. I skip ahead.
So
I skip
good.
ahead to
Yep.
oh God, renew.
Oh, Mark Solomon's a rock star, just all the
Oh.
way around a rock star. He could just go by D-Rock too, or not D-Rock, but Big D. He could be Big D.
Big D. Or
That's a
just
good
Rock.
name.
I always call him just Rock. What's up,
Yeah.
Rock?
Right.
What's up,
Yeah, Big
Rock?
D's already taken.
Because of the kids' table.
Yep.
Mr. and Mrs. Rock.
True, D-Rock is close to B-Rock, and
Right.
that guy's a celebrity. So,
Mm.
you know, It's tough
I was
when
trying to
your
think,
name is
like
close
for
to
a split
Brock.
second, I was like, wait, wasn't D-Rock already taken? But no, I think it was E-Rock was the Christian rapper, wasn't it?
Hey Google, is there a Christian rapper by the name of E-Rock? E-Rock, E-R-O-C. Yep.
Oh,
He, after working as a stage dancer for the likes of MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice, E-Rock turned to the Bible for spiritual inspiration that would eventually spark his career as a motivational speaker and Christian hip hop artist.
look at you with
Hmm.
the deep dive in the independent Christian hip hop world, Kevin.
He's about to start his side podcast about Christian hip hop.
I'll have to get Micah on it.
My early background was
Yep,
Christian hip hop.
yep.
Yep.
Josh will be on that
Yeah.
podcast.
The church I grew up in, Michael Peace was one of our pastors
Oh,
on
yes.
staff.
Oh,
And
wow.
my dad and Michael Peace used to do street ministry, like evangelism. And so I know Michael very well, but also he was my youth pastor for a while, and he was like very involved in like bringing up and coming Christian hip hop artists into town. So like my youth group was very split between like kids that were really into hip hop and then kids were into like rock and metal and hardcore. So like I got a lot of exposure in an urban church with hip hop pastor.
It
That's
and what's
awesome.
and another like side note of how Josh and I were in the same world is that Mike Peace did Kingdom Bound and did Kingdom Bound: A Great Escape. He was very involved in that ministry, and I kind of found Christ as my own through talking to Michael Peace at Kingdom Bound: A Great Escape when Daniel was outside on the when he couldn't get in, as he was talking about. I didn't know that he was outside. I didn't really know that he was even there. But all that to say, like Mike Peace and he talked to me for a good, like, I don't know, at least a half an hour. Just kind of just was the most chill guy, and that's how I came to like into Christ as my own, rather than just the religion of my parents.
I'll never forget one time I went to a party with a girl who was not a good girl I was dating, but it just happened to be that Jesse Sprinkle was at this party because he
What?
had moved out here. Yep. And
Yeah,
Jesse and I
talk to
start
Josh for a
talking.
while.
Keep going.
Jesse and I start
Sorry,
talking and
Brock.
like found out we both like listened to Michael Peace, even though he was from the West Coast. And and my band actually tracked some stuff at Jesse's studio because our drummer like did some work for him because he was living in the area. I think he still is, but I think he's moved around a little bit. So
This is amazing. This is why the Pickle and Boot Shop diabolical discussion page is special, because even like the alcohol discussion where everyone was like, I didn't drink till I was like, I feel like I was young at 22, and I've always felt like I was old because I was legal.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it's just a different place, right? Of so many shared experiences. But like you saying Michael Peace, there's not a lot of places you could go with this many adult middle-aged men and say Michael Peace and people would know who you're talking about
Right.
immediately. But
I'm
this is
still
the
not
place for
sure
that.
people would know because like to me,
We
like
know.
he's just someone I know. Like he's my dude. Like
Right.
I see him, we bump fists and like ask how we're doing, and
I'm still ticked every time that I come to church with you. He's not there, but that's
Should be.
that's besides the point.
I'm amazed by this right now.
But yeah, I can confirm he is Josh's dude.
That is incredible. Because like I feel like Christian hip hop just couldn't find enough of an audience. There weren't enough youth group kids that would do it, right? Because there were a few bands, there just wasn't enough traction to make it happen.
Hmm.
I mean, like I there were some artists and there were some groups out there, but it just wasn't
Yeah.
really big. Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely was some really, really good ones, but there was a lot of really, really bad ones as well.
yeah.
You listen to like SFC, Dynamic Twins, ETW, stuff like
Shaking
that.
up the joint.
I
Yep,
remember
yep.
ETW, I remember Cross Movement.
Mikey.
Man, I love Cross Movement.
And not up, we got a visiting nation.
Yep.
Was it
T-Bone.
I was say about
Oh,
T-Bone.
T-Bone was the
T-Bone.
fastest rapper he's the fastest
He
rapper ever.
was.
Yeah.
He was
Yep.
good. Toby Mac, Carmen, all the greats. Mike Morginski, all the great hip hop artists, the Christian era.
Mike Bojanski.
Yeah, so I saw Michael Peace before I saw Carmen, and then I saw Carmen. But my first rock concert wasn't until I went and saw Audio Adrenaline on the Some Kind of Zombie tour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and mine, I think my first concert, I posted on the Diabolical discussion page was
Those knuckles.
I know,
Get sweaty.
the the DC Talk with Dynamic Twins
They break
opening up.
before they bleed.
Yep, and Newsboys were there as well, and Heather and Kirsten over at Gordon
Wow.
College. It was cool. Micah chimed in and started talking about
Yeah.
Dynamic Twins as well. But man, they were so good. Back then, it was, you didn't have the internet, so you'd be reading the liner notes on the album. And it's
Right.
like, oh, who do they thank? Oh, they thank this band SFC. Cool. So I go to the Christian bookstore and have to special order the
Oh, the
SFC
special order.
albums.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that comes in and they're like, oh, they thank ETW and Mike E. Cool. I'll special order those and, get those in and check them out.
Yeah, I mean, the experience of the lack of internet where when you purchased the CD, you'd spend $17. You were going to listen
Yeah.
to that
Right.
thing no matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
really didn't matter how good or bad it was. You were going to give it like 48 listens no matter, like, period. And then if it was awesome, you're going to keep going.
And the only caveat to that is the singles, the CD singles back in the day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but like even then, I would buy a whole album because the cover was cool.
Yeah, it was really arbitrary how you would pick.
Right.
Like,
And I mean, I think I'm probably a little bit older than you guys. So it's like when I was ordering all this stuff, it was before CDs.
That's right, old man.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm
Get
so
off-
old. I'm a
Get-
whole
I mean, I
45
definitely-
years old.
I
Get off my
definitely had-
lawn.
Yep.
Definitely started with tapes because my first
Yep.
CD
Oh,
was
yeah. Oh.
Jars of Clay's Self-Titled was the very first CD I ever
Mine
bought.
Same.
was House of Pain. So
Oh, nice.
Mine was Raffi. Thank you. Yep. Baby Blue and
mine-
the Deep Blue Sea.
Mine
There
was
you go.
also the Jars of Clay self-titled.
Ooh.
Okay.
What was that? 90? I'm guessing 94, 95. I don't know.
hey
'cause
Google.
yeah, hey Google.
Hey
Take me to
Google, when
Jars
was
of
the
Clay.
Jars of Clay self-titled release? 95, October 24th, 1995. Look forward to the
Okay.
album anniversary podcast about that.
Oh, we're almost 30 years in. Put that on your
Almost.
calendar,
Yep,
Pete.
put
Let's
that
get
on-
ready for that. A year
I'm
from
gonna talk to Caleb and get on that episode. Done.
Please
Okay.
release it on vinyl again.
Oh, I
I
got it.
really want that
now.
album.
In a
I
sea
got
of
it.
wildflowers.
Just like tea and sympathy.
That was the next album.
I
You're
know,
ahead.
but I wanted to
You're
sing
early.
about
You're
tea and
early.
sympathy.
You have to give
These are
that 2
crazy
more years.
times.
Oh,
Yeah,
and that's
it
the
was
other
some
album
crazy
too.
times.
But if I can't swim after
After 40 days. Oh, I wore that CD out though.
You know.
Yep.
Oh,
But I did buy a bunch of tapes. But it was DeGarmo and Key was like my initial. I love
DeGarmo
this
and
band.
Key. Yes,
It
the
was
Key
them
time.
and Carmen were the two. Like I have to own their stuff
Yep.
on tape, and then random. I mean, I have Ian Eskelin's Supersonic Dream Day still.
Mm.
But yeah, it definitely had a ton of tapes, but even then, it was just like you found something. Because the way I heard about DC Talk is a friend of mine went to see DeGarmo and Key, and DC Talk was the opener.
Right.
And he
Right.
bought the self-titled tape, and then I
Yes.
dubbed it,
Yep.
and, off of his tape, and that's how I got it. And
Yeah.
like the same dude I got Rich Mullins, Winds of Mercy or whatever, like that had Awesome God on it. Like I that was in the same like time period. I got DC Talk self-titled and the Rich Mullins tape, and both of them I dubbed off of him because that was all like I didn't have, and the Jars of Clay was because that was the first time I owned a CD player. CDs were
Mhm.
out by then, but I didn't have a way to play them, so
I-
I was still buying cassettes until I owned one.
Oh, I think the first CD I bought for myself was DC Talk self-titled. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it was heaven, heaven,
Oh, heaven,
oh, heaven
oh, heaven
bound,
bound,
heaven bound.
heaven bound. Don't you know I'm heaven bound?
Yeah,
Or the
it's so
heaven bound
good.
crew, and you could be too if you only knew what Christ died for you, or what Christ did for you. He
Come,
died, don't you see, to set us free. It's the world unfurled if you can find the key. Listen now,
come,
serious
join,
sound, rap cold reverend because I'm heaven bound.
join me in the right ear. Join.
Yes, heaven bound.
Oh, don't you
And
know
those
I'm
horns,
Josh,
heaven
those
let's
like
go to the
bound?
left speaker and let's talk Christian hip hop.
Yeah, right.
yeah, we are talking Christian hip hop. Did you
Oh,
not talk?
we are talking.
We were
No, no,
rapping.
no. I'm talking
We were
like
rapping.
real Christian.
Wash your mouth out with soap. That was Christian hip hop.
Toby Mac, not
And
Toby
the Mac
McKeithen. This
is
is Toby
back,
Mac.
no slack.
No slack. On a DC track,
track
this
is jacked beyond
beyond
comprehension.
comprehension. I believe that I failed to
mention
mention
that. It's a life
there's a lack of
recognition
comprehension. When I was
when
my
it comes to his
position
position. So if Christ can't be crossed
can't be
over,
crossed over, then I'll keep my beat up
Nova.
Nova. Jesus is
So-
just all right with me. Yeah.
still
So
I
you
do
see what
think
I have
there
to
was-
deal with when I'm editing this thing?
I know.
So much good content. How do you squeeze it all in? That's the hard part.
Multi-part episodes.
There was something special about like having to glean whatever information you could
Yeah.
get from any source.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
Yeah, because that was the other thing. Like on top of the like, in the liner notes, bands thanking bands, you'd be looking at the artwork and the photos in, the cassette tape or whatever and be like, oh, he's
Mhm.
got like this band's t-shirt on. I'm gonna check that band out. Yeah. So you'd
Right.
be like just trying to figure out like what are all these other bands. It's like, and like that's how I stumbled upon like XL and DBD and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And then, just kind of, yeah, it was like wild, like going from like, oh, I went to see DC Talk and ended up like, wow, Dynamic Twins was like the best band at this show, like way better than the Newsboys and DC
Mhm.
Talk, and kind of following that train, but still also listening to those other bands. And then, so I think that's partially why my musical taste is kind of just all over the map.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll listen to rap, I'll listen to metal, I'll listen to rock, like it's,
Mhm.
I'm all over the map except for country, it's like pretty much anything is fair game,
I think I was really fortunate to like grow up in the church that I did because
Mm.
not only was Michael Peace there and it was in the city, so there was a big like very urban like, and we lived in the city for a while too, but also the Eastman School of Music was down the street. So they
Yes.
would bring in a lot of musicians to perform in like the music team from there. So like before contemporary like music took over in church, they had a lot of like classical and jazz musicians that played there. So like I got a lot of introduction at an early age to like different genres of music
Mm.
that I think like over time it just became easy for me to like hear different things and appreciate.
Yeah.
But one thing I was going to mention is like I was lucky that where we lived when I was growing up, there was this plaza with Toys R Us in it that at first I would go there and like look at toys when I was little, but like when I started skateboarding when I was like preteen and teen, there was a Christian bookstore there, and this family friend like started working as the music manager. And so I would go and talk to him, and he'd be like, if you like this band, you should check out this band.
Oh, yeah.
And then one day he's like, I have something for you. And he gave me all of his old HM magazines, like before they were HM, when it was Heaven's Metal, and then
Yep.
like into and like glowing through those magazines. Like that's where I learned about so much because like some of it was before my time even. So I was getting caught up on stuff that I didn't necessarily know about. And I'm like, what is
Mhm.
this? Like, who are these Christian goth bands and what are they doing?
Yeah, I used to do that with HM Mag. Like I would, get those issues and just, kind of like just dog ear like the pages where it's like, oh, I got to check this band out. And then like once I got money from, from mowing lawns or allowance or whatever, go down to the Christian bookstore and like be like, all right, so this issue, just kind of start at the beginning and be like, all right, I'm going to order like this tape and this tape, and then just like undo the dog ears. And then it's like, so I
Right.
knew once I had more money, I'd go back and be like, all right, what's the next page I've got flagged.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to do this.
I learned about Supertones because they were like, a little bit more mainstream, but really it was like those magazines where I was like, who is this Five Iron Frenzy band and why do people
Mhm.
love them? And they look cool, so I'm gonna check them out.
And like for me, I didn't have HM or Seven Ball or any of that, in the Adirondacks, but I had I was fortunate because I had a dad that was into like all the old school CCM. So I know Josh, you have a similar experience, right? So I grew up, like Glad, Striper, Steve Camp, Stephen Curtis Chapman, all these old school Steve Taylor, like that's my dad was huge into Steve Taylor, huge into all these like cool bands for the 80s, right? And that kind of gleaned off onto that. And then he had a subscription to CCM magazine. So I didn't really look at Twyla Paris and all them, but I was checking out like, even Stephen Curtis Chapman back then, Smitty back then, um, all these guys that were like into rock back then, like that was old school
Hmm.
80s rock, but it was still rock. So,
Mhm.
Striper was in there. And then as I got older, Five Iron was in there. Supertones, they had that whole ska issue. So I learned about ska through that, right? And so for me, I had that framework where my dad was into the mainstream stuff, the Beach Boys, like all this stuff, and he didn't make me like burn my secular CDs or anything like that. But he's like, hey, like I love all these bands that are like you'll hear on the radio. But here's also what I'm into. And then he introduced me to Striper. He introduced me to like all these great older 80s Larry Norman, all this stuff. And so then I went that side, and then as I got older, learned about Supertones, learned about Five Iron, learned about all that other stuff, and it was a cool framework like growing up that way. And I was telling you a little bit about this, Jared. My very first concert that I went to was Stephen Curtis Chapman in an old bandbox gym in the Mullet days
That's
before
amazing.
in Vermont. But I'm 8 years old. He's just him and a guitar. But the story goes, and I remember it fondly. I went with my mom and the youth group, all these little guys that are in the youth group there, and I'm in the back row and I'm standing up on top of the chair and I'm all excited for this concert, and they go, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Curtis Chapman. One dude walks out. And I was so ticked that it wasn't Stephen and Curtis Chapman that I
That's
sat down,
incredible.
in the chair and like folded my arms and was just like really mad. And my mom was like, it's okay, like, and then all of a sudden I started hearing him. I'm like, all right, now I'm into it, as the night went on.
Well, you saddled
But
up your horse.
I saddled on my, but anyway,
Yeah.
this was pre Great Adventure,
Mm.
but I dived in as well. But yeah, that's my first concert, and then I went to like Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant in Worcester, and like all,
How do you
but
spell that?
Worcester.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just like it sounds.
WORCESTER.
there it is. Ding.
I may
But
have been there.
you might have been there. But that was so Stephen Curtis Chapman just got inducted in the Grand Ole Opry,
Mhm.
and that brought back all these great memories of that very first concert. Partly, I think, because of that was back in the day, there was a musical duo, Steve and Annie Chapman.
I know
So
them. Yeah,
in
yeah.
my brain, I'm like, well, it's got to be the same. It's got to be two people in
Right.
this band too.
That's where the Curtis comes in.
That's right. So
Yep.
we had a voicemail.
Yeah, we did. Jared, it's in the Squids folder if you want to play it.
Let me
Ooh.
let me
I legit am about to
solve
pass
this.
out. That went on for way too long. Ooh, all right.
No, this is the distraction I need
I
because I
need
can't go to
water.
sleep. So
I'm scared to
Love
look.
that is pure and all
and
that is
that
blind.
oh, it's so
Faith
good.
that is pure but link
Dark Side.
grounded in Christ.
What about Testify to Love from Avalon?
Oh, all right, all right. While you're bringing that up, so a side note on that Testify to Love. Remember the old days in youth group of human videos?
Yes.
So we did a human video to Avalon's Testify to Love. And so basically, Kevin, it would be the song would play and you'd like act out different things to it. And it would be, it
Okay.
would bring the gospel message to your lowly friend to watch you basically do mime.
Sinners,
So
yeah.
yeah, all the
Got it.
all the sinners out there would watch you
That
go.
drink alcohol. Yes. And I will testify to love.
I'll be a witness in the silences when words are not enough.
Not enough.
And every breath I take, and you'd be like, "Well, thanks to God above." Yeah. But we did a human video to that, and boy, I still remember all the freaking movements to it.
Mm.
I texted
ahead.
my friend the other day, and I went, "Do you remember the movements to Testify to Love?" And she said, "I haven't thought about that in years," and then proceeded to send me a video of the same movements.
So the little Bible college I went to initially before I transferred to Campbell would have a talent show in the BCM, the Baptist Collegiate Ministries, right?
Oh.
And these two guys dressed in drag and did Testify to Love, like with the motions and all that, and got like disciplined from the university. And I thought it was the most incredible thing. They brought down the house because these two dudes were funny anyway, and they decided to put dresses on and wigs and like makeup and go all in on Testify to Love, and it was incredible. And it got them some sort of suspension or something. I don't remember what happened to them. It was bad, but it was so worth it. It was incredible.
So I lucked out then because we did a like a lip sync battle at my college. And we did Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole's Unforgettable.
Unforgettable, yeah.
I love that
Yes.
song.
So such a good song. That's one of my first CDs as well.
It's a great album. So we come out, and it was my roommate Andy and I come out. I borrowed my girlfriend at the time's had like a red velour like dress. Like a short like red velour dress. So I come out with that dress on and a wig, and me and my roommate Andy did Unforgettable together.
So
well,
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it feels good now in retrospect to be able to look back and be like, okay, I was on the side, like even though I was in this world, which is niche and strange and is like just a different reality. But when you have stories like that and you were like, I was on the side that pushed back a little bit, even though it wasn't anything crazy. In retrospect, you're like 20 years later, I didn't realize, like, doesn't it feel good to be like, okay, I was not on the side of like the disapproving people who were pointing fingers at the guy in the dress? I was on the side of that is funny. That is good.
Right.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
So my college, my freshman year, they did Pour Some Sugar on Me at the senior talent show, and they just proceeded to pour sugar on each other the whole song. They
didn't understand what it was about,
and they got disciplined as well. But the thing is, for those skits, you had to pass censors. So I'm very curious what they presented,
Right.
I have a mildly funny talent show story.
Please.
Okay.
So I went to one of the state universities here for a year or two, and I saw this flyer, and it was like, hey, come try out for this talent show. And I didn't know when I saw the flyer when I was walking by that it was for the African American Club. But
I remember you telling
I went and I got in, and I was like, this is pretty cool. But the funnier part of the story, going back a little bit, is I used to hang out in this like one like lounge area where my buddy was like a student worker, and we would call like him and his other buddies ex-girlfriends, and I would like with a guitar just start like making up songs on the spot to them. So this turned into an actual song that I decided to perform at this talent show. And somehow I won the talent show.
Nice.
I don't know how, because it was well, I don't know.
I'm still waiting for him to perform it for us today, but that's all right.
Oh, so going back to the talent show and the lip sync battle, the guy who hosted this, there was another student in our class. He had this like persona that he would do whenever he would host these various events on campus called Johnny Showcase. He was actually on I believe it was it America's
Was that Johnny?
Johnny Showcase, yes.
Johnny Showcase. I love that guy.
Yeah. So I know him. I went to college with him at Eastern Nazarene College.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, he went on and just absolutely crushed it in like the first round.
Oh
So
my
good.
word.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Well, or at least on America's Got Talent, he was hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just like this persona that like he made where it was just like
he was off the wall.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Did we have a voicemail?
I would say, which one? Like, when's it from?
October 30th. Yeah.
Okay. Josh, are you ready?
We're as ready as we're ever going to be.
Here it comes.
Yeah, Squiz, this is Joshua Lawless from the Diabolical Discussion page.
Yes!
Just wanted to chime in and say that I like how you follow up Joe and Reese's episodes where, let's say, for instance, Joe says, hey, tell me what you think. Leave a comment in the discussion page. And so you guys give your comments. It's wonderful. However, moving forward, with the new format, I don't know if that's going to be as easy to duplicate. We'll see, because there's a new format coming soon, supposedly. But if you guys want to be creative and do your own thing and come up with your own material or have a guest on, then I'm all for it. And I will listen because I love this group. I once wanted to listen to the whole discography of John Lennon and therefore discovered the Wedding album, which has a 22-minute song of John and Yoko just repeating each other's names. And now that I think about it being called the Wedding album, they were probably saying each other's names as they were engaging in sex. So I listened to all 22 minutes. And since I want to listen to everything that is put out by the Pickle Home Companion, I'll listen to y'all just repeat each other's names for 22 minutes. So do whatever you want, and I'll listen. Piece of pizza.
So that's the best voicemail we've
gosh.
ever received, right?
Oh.
Like, clearly.
I want that voicemail. Oh my gosh, send me that voicemail. That was amazing.
Pete.
Josh.
Kevin. Josh. Pete.
Brock.
Brock.
Oh, Kevin left. Kevin left.
Kevin
He's
quit.
like, no, thank you.
So,
Josh.
do we need to clarify that we repeating each other's names are different than John and Yoko?
Oh my gosh, but are we really? No. Oh, that was amazing. Josh.
22 minutes. Good job, John.
Oh my goodness.
Off,
Yeah, right.
But,
hey,
talking about going all in.
Mr. Lawless, thank you so very much for calling. That was probably my favorite voicemail we've, not putting down anybody else's, but that might have been my favorite we've received.
That's incredible.
I'm glad I got to be part of it.
Yeah, Brock will have to listen to this on the pod because he left, but he's coming back for the goodbye. Just,
Yeah, he'll be around. But
Kevin left because he's like, I don't want anything
So-
be part of that.
you guys can straighten me out
Oh
if
my
I'm
gosh.
wrong here. But processing that voicemail and what Josh Lawless. I think we have to specify our Joshes now because
Yeah,
there's more
no,
than Josh involved.
there's quite a few. I mean, there's Josh Keefe, there's Josh Lawless, there's Josh.
Does he go by Josh or Joshua? I don't want to disrespect him.
No, I don't want to either.
So, however he would like to be addressed, consider that done. Josh
Mr.
or
Lawless.
Joshua.
Yep.
Mr. Lawless. There we go.
Yep.
Sir Lawless. He expressed a lot of confidence in us, but some doubt for our overlords.
Well, I can tell you that our podcast is going to continue on well into the apocalypse because as we're pushing, we're pushing 3-4 episodes here, and it's a great time. And I think our format of just bringing on, different people, bringing on Josh. I hope you're a regular as well. Like just having folks coming on to just talk is where we're heading with this. I mean, with that new format, I think the guys will have on different people from the community, at the $10 and plus level. Yep. Whoop. So I look forward to my episode.
Can't wait for my interview.
And the great part is he's already
so many questions to answer.
The funny part is they're like, we're gonna have a crossover episode at some point. I'm like, oh, okay. But I think that like their new format is gonna be fun to see what they do. And don't worry, we're done talking. We're done saying each other's names. Kevin, you welcome back.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, we've just continued each other's names since you left.
Josh, Jared, Brock. Okay.
Brock.
Reese, Joe Jerky.
Joshua.
This is going to be a great low lights. At the
Peter.
the 3 hour 20-minute mark. Got it.
Okay.
So thank you so much. Yeah, Petey Hutchie. But I think that like their new format is going to be interesting to see what they do, right? It's going to be interesting to see what they decide and how much of it's going to be like our show.
Yes.
Because, you saw our pitch video that's in the Diabolical Discussion. A lot of that stuff, I think they kind of might have cleaned off of what we're doing. But that's all right. The royalty checks will come in.
Can't wait for the Supertone self-titled to pay us outright.
So
Right.
once it starts to pay off for them, then you throw in some bad ideas and see how that plays out.
So you're telling we listen, all y'all, to sabotage. Got it. Okay.
Hostile takeover?
Hey, Joe. Hey, Reese. You don't know the day or the hour, but we will take over the pickle and boot shop.
We have a specific set of skills.
I don't know
We've
if
come to say each other's names for 22 minutes.
Josh, Kevin, Joe, Reese, left ear. I'm not stopping. Brock, Pete, Anna, Missy, other Josh,
Mandarin
Todd,
orange.
Mandarin,
Where is Micah? Where did Micah go?
Rock, Druck, Daniel, Danny Boy, Dan.
Oh, Danny boy. So
I'm not-
Kevin, you were saying, you said my name, and I always perk up when I hear my name. Go ahead. What were you about to say when I
Say
come on
my
for
own
my
name,
hour?
Jared.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So when you have your half-hour interview on their show, that's
Boy.
when you take over their show.
Ooh.
Flip the script. Who's interviewing who now?
And just say, hey, and here's my new overlord, Matt Morginski.
Right.
That guy's got his stuff together. He put out a self-titled on vinyl.
A Pickle Home Companion brought to you by Matt Morginski and Mojoko.
Yeah. I do appreciate our friend Josh.
Yes.
Josh's saying that we further discussion when Joe says, "What do you think?" Which was our whole original genesis of this entire thing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That they say, "What do you think?" And we were going to start a podcast saying what we think, which
Yeah.
we've
Right.
greatly diverged from.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the source material. That was the inspiration.
And we
Exactly.
and honestly, we still go there, right? Because we love what we see in the Diabolical Discussion page, and that gives us like fodder to chat about and go further on. So
And mostly we're a Furnace Fest podcast.
yeah, I mean, really, we are.
Right,
It's
right.
our It's our Furnace Fest and 80 CCM.
I got the repost from the Furnace Fest Instagram account, guys.
Oh,
You did?
You made it
Yeah,
happen.
today on the story
Nice.
for my tattoo pick.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
look at
Yeah.
you.
Kevin, you got to put it up on there. You can get one too.
I must, yeah.
Everybody's doing it.
Except for me, sorry.
Who told Kevin Duff about the kangaroos?
I know. I just saw that in the thing.
Wait, what?
So
Kevin Duff just put the kangaroo
he
thing
posted the map about kangaroos on the discussion page, and I sent it to Miss. Did Missy share it with him? Like, where'd this come from? Our live content.
Hold on. Wait, what?
Go look in the discussion page.
Wait, what?
on the discussion page. Diabolical.
Yeah, no, I see it now.
Oh,
How does it-
also, Kevin, side note, Michael Sweet of Striper is playing a solo show on December 1st in Worcester.
I did see an announcement about that tour.
I
It
really,
popped up on my Facebook.
I'm thinking of going. All right, so while you look up, yeah, so on the discussion page,
Yeah.
But did Brock send, like, does Brock know Kevin? Because I just
don't know.
realized looking at the messenger, I didn't send the map to Missy. I just asked her why she doesn't own a kangaroo
Right.
and told her she didn't need a permit. But the image Kevin Duff posted is the image I shared in our group on the Zoom. So how did that happen?
because
I don't know.
kangaroos don't. They didn't talk about that on the.
No, that was just us.
Oh my gosh, how
So
did
I
this
don't know
happen?
how it happened, but it was an hour ago. So somehow the map got leaked. That's Brock. I blame Brock.
Brock, did you leak this? I'm adding him again.
Brock
Brock did
knows.
it. Did you leak this information? I know he's awake. It's freaking 10 o'clock on the West Coast.
Brock liked
Right.
liked Kevin's post, so he's clearly like in on it. He knows.
Do we comment on the post?
Also, who's Junior Meredith who had an angry face at the post of the kangaroos?
I thought it was Mandarin Orange that put the angry face.
No, she liked it.
I have no idea.
There's 9 people. Here's my question. Why would 9 people randomly like a map of where you can own a kangaroo outside of our conversation?
Wait, what's happening? I'm typing this right now. Wait, what's happening?
Kevin just posted the picture and said, just wanted to let y'all know where you can own a kangaroo without a permit.
No, I see it. I'm commenting on it. Wait, what's happening?
But there's no context for that post. He just used. We've been
Have we been scooped?
we've been scooped. That's how we've made it, guys. That's what I know.
TMZ has found our. All right, who's listening in right now? NSA, Kevin Duff. Hey,
Brock is giving out the Zoom.
Yeah, I
Evil Brock.
commented as well. I said, wait, are you guys on our Zoom call?
I can't wait for evil Brock to come out.
Yeah, Brock, come back.
How amazing would it be if Brock rejoined the Zoom 2 hours after putting his kids to bed? And we're still bullshitting.
Ready. I'm going to put the information back in the chat. We
Tell
can-
him to come back. See what
I'm
he
not
does.
putting it parking lot whiskey because now we're putting it back in the.
I just can't go to bed, guys. Like, if
I
we log
can't
off,
either.
I'm gonna just not sleep. I've given up on this evening and tomorrow's productivity. It's just what it is. Hey Google, send me to Branson, Missouri.
Branson, can we? All right, time in. Branson, Missouri.
We're back to podcasting.
All right, welcome back to hour number 5 of Pickle Home
We
Companion.
just need a 3-hour timeout.
All right. Oh God,
Dude.
Purdue!
Don't make me do it.
All right, so guys, I was yelling.
Same.
I was like, don't you know that I was just in Branson, Missouri with my mother?
Renew, Holy Spirit to cleanse me. Pleasures and deceits which I welcome, mind bending, not unlike the hook of
to the Gerald dad.
That's a low
Yeah.
light. All
Sorry.
right, so 5 hours and 33 minutes in.
Kevin.
My computer's gonna explode. It's not even gonna import the files.
No, it's not gonna happen.
Poor Josh. Can we? So my mother and I went to Branson. We were in Branson, Missouri.
Branston.
Branson, Missouri, and I was
Great band.
I
Why
was
weren't
just-
they at Furnace Fest?
I know, right? I was just yelling T T T T T while I was there. Yeah. I was like, guys, and then I'm yelling at the podcast. I'm yelling at my phone, and then all of a sudden Joe goes, "I need to interrupt you because it's actually Branson." I'm like, "Okay, you've renewed my faith in humanity."
That did make me feel a lot better too. I was anxious until that moment.
Sarah just texted me, "Are you okay?"
Amy just texted me too. It's 2 a.m. What are you doing?
My wife's asleep. Okay.
Oh, work's gonna suck tomorrow.
I don't even want to go to work tomorrow.
I don't want to work. I just want to
wanna-
bang on. Can we play the Squid Games?
Yes. I wanted to play Squid Games with Josh, but
All right, welcome to hour 5 of 6 of a Pickle Home Companion. We're about to play some Squid Games.
I was gonna say, so we could theoretically end the Zoom call, start it again, and then post on the diabolical discussion page, "Hey, who wants to join a podcast?"
join us. Oh, so here's what my buddies proposed, by the way, and they're down. So this is a real thing.
Okay.
So I threw it in our group chat. I was like, "Do you guys want to join the podcast?" And they were all like, "Yes." And John was like, "We need a friend group battle royale. It's us versus them." So I don't know how we set that up, but I think
So
that
which side are you on?
exactly. I'm in the middle. So I don't know how we create the battle royale, but I'm
Right.
for it.
Hi there, Switzerland. We got to recruit Josh then, if that's the case. And Daniel Rock.
Josh and Daniel Rock come in on your side. I got 5 strong on the other side.
Wait, so are you Steve Harvey then, Jared? Or what?
I think so. It's about that time though, right? Like
Well, we got 7 minutes until the 6-hour mark of the Pickle Home Companion.
I feel like we at least have to do another 7 minutes.
Yeah, 7 minutes. We
I
got to make
agree.
it to the 6-hour mark, and then
Let's do 7 minutes.
I gotta go to bed.
Power
But yeah.
through. I wonder if we can get in touch with Aaron Weiss to talk about his life as a professor. Don't mess with me, guys. I'll email him and ask.
Maybe wait till tomorrow.
Maybe wait till the beginning of the new year. Like that's the problem we're running into now, right? Like we're about to hit Thanksgiving, and then it's gonna be Christmas.
Yep.
So I'm assuming we're skipping Christmas week, but then like we might be headed to like January.
Do you realize how many Untold Stories episodes we have?
1,000. We have a catalog where we can take a month off.
Yeah, like no joke, I almost was gonna drop one today. Like probably like an hour before we started, I was like, do I drop an Untold Stories one just like, hey, do you need a distraction from today?
You're not gonna
Here you go.
mad, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and that would mean 3 episodes this week.
right.
I am going to see I meant to tell Brock this. I'm going to see I bought a ticket for Derek Webb house show next Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Not this Saturday, but next week.
That's cool.
Can't convince anybody to go with me. So it's some random house in Raleigh. I'm going to show up with a 5 Iron Frenzy shirt.
If I were down there, I'd go with you for damn
I
sure.
appreciate that.
For
You
damn
singing
sure.
Cademan Call songs? Like,
Oh,
I mean,
of
I
course.
like Derek Webb. Like,
I
throughout
backed the
pieces,
project. I
but
mean,
if I can get him to sing a Rich Mullins song, I'm happy. Like,
Yeah.
'cause he had that EP of him singing covers,
right.
and it's pretty magical.
Bring up your phones, guys. It's
There you
it's 2:30.
It's time.
There you go. And then you can talk to him and get him on the podcast.
Ooh, I hadn't even thought about that, honestly. But I'll do it.
Oh, here we go. Okay, perfect.
This is silly.
We're
Time.
hey, it's been great talking to you for 6 hours.
I appreciate it. little whiskey, little squids, and made it through. Well,
Down the road.
that's what perfection looks like.
That's what something looks like.
We lost Brock 4 hours ago.
And he's on the fucking West Coast.
We
I'm
didn't
sorry.
even need a guest
sorry.
for a telethon.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that so we don't get the E rating. That's on the Pickles West Coast.
Oh, man. What a good night.
Yep.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
We probably
Definitely
should
was
turn
much
that
needed.
down, though.
Oh, that was a good time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna laugh.
Yep.
I'm gonna laugh if Brock joins us right now.
Now.
God renewed.
I look forward to my alarm going off in 4
Oh,
hours.
it's gonna be so bad.
Oh my gosh.
What it is.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, boys.
All right, boys.
All right, cool. I'll talk to you later.
Piece of pizza.
Pizza and a slice of pizza.
Onward, pickle soldiers.
Face to face with me, separated by mesh. Like a jail cell, we can't touch in the flesh. Only verbal allowed for communication. Giving me my therapy in a one-verse session. The lesson I learned was make the most of time with you. It's a torturous thought, others that you gotta talk to. Telling you this, lying to you with that. Probably feel like putting not welcome out on your map. So this letter I write, I hope it finds you well. I'm still looking for an outlet for us both to sail. So put pressure on the piers, cause the boat's got a leak. Took a decade to crack because of freedom of speech. So like a transparency, I hope you see right through me. All I got's respect for my audio tech. You've been the catalyst for this MC with no debate. That's why I generate, radiate, illuminate.
In pursuit of perfection, we look to the sun. A journey of the soul up to Mount Zion. It's the ill earth suit, E-Rock collaboration. We generate the radiation. Giving thanks for the land. We sail on the seas, driven by the spirit of